This time on Between the Wheels.
Yeah, this one's a little more radical. This is the high compression race fuel engine. Yeah, that's what it feels like in a 9-second car. No, I've never done bracket racing. Usually I just do test and tune. Had a great day. Ended up winning the event, which was very surprising to me.
So Marco's been building cars since he's 15 years old. He survived the era of the street outlaws, and now he's winning races. We gotta find out just what makes his cars so fast. So I'm standing here with Marco and his awesome 1964 Chevelle. Marco has been on the show before, not for his own episode, but for the Luskville episode. You actually appeared there and you were drag racing with Bruce the Cheetah.
Yeah, we had a hell of a time that day. Bumper to bumper action all day long.
That was pretty cool because you hadn't raced that type of racing. You hadn't done bracket racing before.
Yeah, no, I've never done bracket racing. Usually I just do test and tune, go up there, try to get the car to go quicker every time we go up.
Yeah.
And the guys have been after me for a couple of years, like, you know, come on up, do some bracket racing. And I said, well, maybe we'll give it a try. And that day we got up to the track and it was cold, it was wet, the weather was bad. And being on a drag radial, I thought for sure I wasn't going to be hooking.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, oh, this day is going to be just wasted, you know. And anyways, I get up to the line, I did a burnout. The car hooked first pass and just kept on hooking. And so I had a great day. Ended up winning the event, which was very surprising to me, but I was happy in the end. So.
Amazing, yeah. So he actually ended up winning, and the first day. So you end up winning the first day, and then Bruce actually ended up winning the second day with the Cheetah.
Yeah. So
they were neck and neck all day. So we don't really know who's faster. We gotta definitely revisit this. There's also some other cars we'd like to have in the race in the future. So maybe talk about the old racing days and what those were like, because those were a big part of your life.
Those were the best days of our lives, I think. You know, we were all young. We had these built cars. We would meet up, you know, in certain areas where there was lots of traffic, and then we'd pick a guy to run, and then we'd go to a remote area. We're not going to get into specifics here, but we'd go to certain areas where it was safer to let the cars loose.
Yeah.
We'd do a pass and run, and you know, eventually the cops did show up, and we would just leave and go to a new place, and then they'd show up there, and then we'd leave and go to another place. But you know, that was a different time, you know.
Yeah, you can't pull that off anymore.
No, we can't be doing that stuff anymore these days. But yeah, it was a different time for sure, and it was a really fun time.
Yeah.
And the cars were very serious back then. People would show up with slicks and nitrous and all kinds of wild stuff, you know. Yeah. A little more radical times for sure.
Yeah, the street outlaw days, those days are over. Now what we do is actually go to the track.
We go to the track. The track is better. We're making more power these days as well. So the sticky surface at the track is a lot better to actually put the power down, and the safety of, you know, having the guardrails and, you know, not getting in trouble with you know, the law, and, you know, putting other people in danger and that kind of thing. You know, we've gotten older and wiser, so it's at the track these days.
And back in the day, you know, you had a big block and you had 400 some horsepower. That was crazy. Now 400 horsepower is like a lower level. You know, when you're running like 700-800 horsepower these days, it's just more of I guess it's the responsible thing to do.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
for sure.
so we always kind of try to teach people, like, go to the track. You want to race it, like, it's okay to put the hammer down once in a while, just a little bit, but to truly test these cars, it's got to be a safe environment, and just makes more sense too.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So, but right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the car itself.
Yeah.
In depth. So talk about this car.
The car I purchased from my uncle's friend, Al. I guess he had owned the car for quite a while, and the car was in really good shape. It's original paint. The floors and everything underneath were nice and clean. It had the big block in it, the Turbo 400, and the 12 bolt already in the car.
Wow.
So I just massaged all those items to my liking, and this is the result. So yeah, we put some 410 gears in the rear end, changed the posi, changed all the suspension on the car to get it to work properly.
Yeah.
Rebuilt the Turbo 400 transmission, tested a couple of different converters in it.
So next thing we're gonna do is actually talk about what's under the hood. So let's crack this bad boy open.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so tell me about the engine.
All right, so yeah, it's a 454, kind of an old school motor. Yeah, this one's a little more radical. This is the high compression race fuel engine. These days, you know, you see more big cubic inch motors.
Right.
That's the thing now. It's a lot easier to make more horsepower and torque with more cubic inches.
Yeah.
This is kind of old school, but I got a good deal on the engine, so I bought it, made some revisions to it, and it's working out pretty good. Seems to do well.
Well, that's good because a lot of people have like either the 540s or the 572s.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, but you didn't go that route.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe in the future that might happen, but for now, this engine's doing the job.
Okay.
It's basically a 100 overbore 454, so we got 476 cubic inches. It's 13-to-1 compression, so you got to use some expensive fuel to make it run right.
That's right.
It's got some AFR 325 cc runner rectangular port heads. It's got a nice solid roller cam in there that's streetable but pretty radical at the same time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And yeah, it likes to rev. The combination of having the big cylinder heads and the cam, big Dominator carburetor, single plane intake, it likes to rev up to make the power. So as opposed to more cubic inches where you can rev a little lower and make the power, this engine needs to rev to make the power. So,
all right, so it screams.
Yeah, it screams. Instead of shifting at 6,000 RPM or 65, we shifted at 7,500. So it's making the horsepower with more revs to move more air and fuel.
How does that work for the longevity of the engine?
RPM is never good for longevity.
Right.
But this engine is a shorter stroke than the stroker style engine. So having the shorter stroke puts less stress on the cylinder walls. So it tends to last longer having the shorter stroke. So in the end, maybe a little more wear and tear on the valve springs, but the bottom end seems to do pretty good.
Sure, and then the rest of the restoration of this car, you didn't just change, work on the drivetrain. You actually did an awesome job on the interior. Maybe talk about that.
Yeah, the interior was actually kind of a baby blue color, and it was pretty ratty looking when I got the car. So I ended up painting all the steel around the doors, the dash, just using spray bomb cans. Pretty basic old school stuff here. The headliner I sprayed with some vinyl spray, door panels as well. Then we put some new bucket seats in it and recovered the back seat. I bought the seat cover, recovered that, and it turned out pretty good. I only had about $1,100 invested in the interior, which is pretty good, not including the steering wheel, and then I replaced the steering wheel, and that was the finishing touch. So
it's pretty cool because outside you got a really rough kind of exterior and whatnot, and the interior is almost like a show car in a way. Like it wouldn't take much to get to that point. It looks really nice and pristine. You did an awesome job. It looks great,
Thank
and
you.
it definitely complements the car. And it almost got like the Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. But your background goes way back before this. Like this is not your first hot rod. Back in the day, you had a Chevy II. Talk about that.
Yeah, well, I bought that from my uncle. Again, he was always involved with my car stuff. He was someone I looked up to with the car things. He had all the hot rod magazines. Every time I'd go over to my grandparents' house, I'd go through all the hot rod magazines when I was, 10 years old, and I'd read and read and read and just absorb all the information. Yeah, anyways, I ended up buying that Chevy II Nova. That was a 65. I bought that when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Didn't even have my license yet, but I knew what I wanted to do, so put that in the garage at Mom and Dad's house and started working on it right away. And redid the whole car, built the engine, put some things in the rear end again, the transmission, the interior, Yeah, it was quite the job. Put a whole new floor in the car, welded the suspension in. I did all that stuff when I was probably around 17 years old.
Wow, that's amazing.
So,
those are awesome stories. So you got a base there, and unfortunately you have to get rid of the car.
yeah, well, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
Had kids, wife, building houses, got into some other things, boats, fishing and whatnot, and there's only so much room and time for the hot rod, so we ended up selling that car. And years later, I guess around my early 40s, started getting the bug to do something again, so that's when I started looking for a car, and I came across this car right here.
Right. You reignited the fire, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way to do it. It's
for
cool,
sure.
because a lot of people get out of it and then they're kind of, oh, you know, the old days were awesome, and that they're kind of revisiting that. It's cool for you to actually go right back to it and go into the racing, and then hang out with a group of guys like we have on the show at Luskville.
Yeah,
and it's really cool to see guys. It's awesome. It's a throwback to the past, but it's living life to its fullest. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. The guys I hang out with have been doing this for a long time, so we all have known each other for decades. So it's a lot of fun getting all the guys together, do some racing, a little bit of bullshit and joking around. You know, we have a great time.
Go to Burger King Monday night. It's all I can afford.
Hey, it doesn't matter who wins in the end. It's all for fun.
Absolutely.
It's a bunch of friends having a good time. That's what it's all about, right? We had a
For
good
his
day.
first day of bracket racing, how about fucking Marco Hand, man? Like fucking,
Thanks, man.
fucking guy, like.
Thank you.
Well, I think the only thing that's left to do is to actually test the engine itself, take it out on their own, and see what it's like. Because I'm dying to go in this thing. I saw it in action, but I haven't been in it yet, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, let's take her out and see what she can do. Yeah, she makes a bit of noise, eh?
Holy crap, dude. Oh, shit, that's got a lot of it. Wow.
Yeah, she gets up and goes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a pretty loose torque converter in there, 8-inch, so when you hammer it, the revs come up real fast.
You're going to have to get some cleaning wipes to wipe off this shit-eating green right now.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's cool. Wow, that's fun.
Yep.
Can't beat a big block, man.
Yeah, big blocks, a lot of torque, and they can rev too if you want to. They build them properly and make some good RPM out of them, so lots of horsepower, lots of torque.
Yeah.
Old school combination, still gets it done.
Still gets it done, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Not much you really got to say when you got that going. Just enjoy the ride.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Let
man.
the car speak for itself.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that's what it feels like in a 9-second car.
Wow, that's friggin' wild, dude.
Yeah. Best so far is 996 up at Luskville, but that was with the old carburetor.
Yeah.
We're expecting once we get the tune all proper on this car to go, I'm hoping for maybe some 980s, maybe even 970s. So
yeah,
that's the goal with the car. I just want to get the best out of the combination I have. It's a good car. You don't really need much more than that.
No.
So
that'd be hard to handle any more than that. Like,
yeah,
it takes some skill to drive like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to keep your eyes on everything for sure.
Wow. Oh man, that's fun. That's fun. I really have nothing else to say other than it's fun. Like, you left me speechless there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Wow. Amazing. And you got some disc brakes in this thing.
Yeah, got some front discs. Right now in the rear, we got some big drum brakes that are really heavy. So in the future, I'd like to replace those because they tend to slow you down a little bit in the quarter mile. So
see, now you won the race, and now you're just thinking, I can remove this, I can remove that, I can change this.
Well, we always want to get the most we can get out of these cars. And there's a few things left I'd like to do to the car.
Oh, the smell of race gas. That never gets old.
Sweet smell.
Sweet smell of race gas. Yeah, no, it's you could always improve things, but you would have never made that stop if it was 4 drums all around.
Yeah,
There's no way in hell.
I had drums on my old Chevy II Nova, and that was a scary ride back in the day.
And that's a small car, you know, compared to this is pretty big.
Well, you know, back then, you know, when we were teenagers, we didn't have the budget for fancy rigs.
No.
So now we can spend a little more money and get it done properly, safer. Yeah, whenever you're in the mood for some action, a little bit of enjoyment, I jump in this and you just forget about everything else that's going on in the world, you know? Just
that's what it's all about, man.
live in that moment.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, this car's, we've blown up a couple of mufflers in this car. Lots of air pressure going through the exhaust, so I've had to re-weld the mufflers a few times.
Yeah. I haven't been in a car with that high compression before. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like things a little on the wild side. I've always had the more radical cams and that kind of stuff in my cars.
This is not a long distance driver. It's
No,
make the drive memorable.
that's right. Short and fast.
Yeah, short and fast. Well, Marco, that was an awesome drive. Thanks for being on the show.
My pleasure.
Here's your hat. Everyone always gets a hat on the show.
Awesome, thank you.
So thank you so much. You're now part of the club.
Right on.
For life. It was an awesome episode. It was nice to see you in action. I hope to see you again in action at Luskville and all the other tracks.
Yeah, for sure. We'll do it again sometime, absolutely.
That's right.
Next time on Between the Wheels.
This one here was pretty much a shell. The thing sat in a barn for years and years and years. Most people want their car to look good, but they don't think of the handling aspect of the car.
This is a mishmash Frankenstein creation of modern technology.
It's a little bit more violent than the other car.
Really don't have to say much in this case. You just sit back and drive and relax.
Just enjoy the ride.